Annyeonghaseyo! Hi everyone, so today it's another day of vlogging for me and I'm gonna meet my KGSP friends. Their name is Hazi and Estrid, so we're gonna eat at a halal restaurant. They're already there because I'm a bit late, oops. Yeah, so we're gonna eat in this restaurant called Seoul. It's selling fish and it's quite famous, so yeah, I'm gonna go in and find them now and maybe talk about KGSP later. Oh. Hi! So this is Estrid and this is Hazi. So shy! Sorry, I think they ordered Greek mackerel.
Your parents have to like swear that.
So according to Estrid, this place is not certified halal, but because... Why? Okay, wait, Estrid will explain to you. Okay.
They basically sell mostly seafood, so a lot of Indonesians and Malaysians do come here to eat.
Anyway, this is Estrid from Singapore. Yay! Singapore! And she's half Indonesian also. Say something in Indo.
No, I forgot.
Oh!
Like, I can understand, but like it's hard for me to speak.
Oh, okay. Okay, and that's Hazi. She's Malay.
Hello.
And we are multiracial.
When she says that, I feel like I'm supposed to say something in Malay, but like, I don't know.
Can you?
Selamat.
Selamat?
Sore.
Okay, you say something in Indonesian too. I know something. I only know apa
The
khabar.
only thing I know is pokoknya. Pokok, right?
Okay, so this is the group mackerel.
Samchi.
Ujino
Sambal sotong.
Sambal sotong. Sundubu. Woo! Oh, I love sundubu. It's sundubu, right?
Yeah.
See. Fast. Oh, yeah, that's what we call
Mine
it.
is ikan bakar. Not ayam, but ikan.
Ayam is chicken, right?
I know she said
Horrible, y'all. You see, even I know. Wow, perfect. 1,000 upon 100. Okay, I'm gonna try to see the salad. Whoa! That's too much. It's really nice.
you can dip it with
Your face.
and there's a bit of wasabi. You can try the sweet. It's nice, right?
Wow!
It's like bakar, right?
What's that?
It's like got the smoky.
Oh, the pulmat, is it? Baka, that's how you say it. I don't know. Peeing.
Okay.
Oreo shake. I'm gonna get that. 안녕하세요. 저도 오리오 쉐이크.
오레오 쉐이크.
네. We're gonna go to Estrid's place now. Okay, so we walk past a cake shop and girls being girls need to stop by and get some sweet things. Even though we have bubble tea. So we are at Billy Angel's cake. Okay, and these are the questions that I'm gonna ask this to about KGSP because you guys wanna find out, right? Okay, they will tell you more about life experiences and like tips and tricks of getting the scholarship. I mean, everybody has a different experience, right? So that's what we're gonna do. Hi everyone, I'm here to talk about KGSP as all of you have requested. Okay, wait, but maybe they should do a bit of self-introduction first. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Estrid. I'm currently studying at Busan National University doing media communications. Yeah, and I met Jeanette and Hazi through this scholarship and we became good friends ever since.
Hi, I'm Hazi. I'm doing my master's in clinical psychology at Chungang University. Yes.
Okay, so today I've asked my friends, Astrid and Hazi, to share more about their experience in applying for the Korean government scholarship. What does it feel like to start studying masters immediately after coming?
Like in one word, I think overwhelming. Right, yeah. I think like especially because we were like the first batch who started with COVID and everything, it was just a lot of things going on at one time. And then when we started masters, it's like a lot of things that we didn't know what to expect and like just trying to catch up with everything. Like in the first place, you don't really know what the system is like here. When I first started, I remember feeling this like wave of like anxiety and like just trying to like keep up with everything basically. And because classes are in Korean for me, most of my classes are all my classes are in Korean, and all my assignments, presentations are all done in Korean. So just trying to like wrap my head around that was difficult, even though I have my topic. But studying like a whole subject, like studying clinical psych in Korean is really, it was difficult. But I think I still enjoyed my experience overall after I overcame like the first part of it, and then I knew like basically like what to expect. I think so then after that it became a lot better.
I had the same experience. Like it's just that feeling of overwhelming, like it's just overwhelming, the anxiety, and doing masters in your native language is already very hard, and having to do it in, for us, essentially our third language, right? It's just really difficult. To me it was like a steep learning curve.
Yes,
that
definitely
pushed me to like my boundaries, and I guess now looking back at it, I can say like it was a challenge and I overcame the challenge, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But at the point in time, it was just really overwhelming. So there were times where I actually told Jeanette that I was quite in a way envious that she was doing her language studies, because I felt like for me,
you're just like hit with like a huge ass wave, and then like tsunami, like
for me, especially because I graduated from university 10 years ago. So there's this like 10-year break in studies, and so like I'm not used to using my brain in the academic sense. Like I was working for the past like 8 years plus. So to immediately jump into masters, that was pretty difficult for me. So I wish I did not declare my topic so that I could do my language, just so that I can kind of ease into it. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think like I'm pretty glad that I pushed myself and took on this challenge. So while it was difficult, I think now I'm more confident saying that, I'm ready for whatever challenges that's coming my way, and I should be more prepared to take it head on.
I mean, it's okay if you have to like study in Korean and like present in Korean and everything, but your results really matter, because there's like is it a requirement?
It is.
It is. Like, so basically under the scholarship you have to get at least 80% for your grades
every semester,
like on average.
I didn't know that.
80%. So if you don't get 80%, then you get a warning.
3 warnings and then you're out.
Yeah, so basically it's like okay, I'm starting on my masters and it's in a whole other language, but at the same time I have to score like 80% so that was really stressful. And I always had the thought like, because it's not my native language, I have to study like 10 times harder than the natives.
But I think in a way, like having that requirement kind of pushed us to do our best, and rather than just like slacking off throughout the semester.
So so for me, I started with language course and I made a lot of international friends, and a lot of them were undergraduate students, so maybe I can ask them more about undergraduate stuff if you would like to know more. But it was definitely easier for me, I think. Basically, as you have heard, Astrid is studying in Busan University and Hazi is studying in Chunghangdae, which is in Seoul. So what do you think is the difference in studying between Seoul and outside of Seoul?
사투리.
Yes.
사투리 맞지?
Yes. So studying masters in Korean is one thing, but studying masters in Korean saturi is different, and half the time I don't understand what my professors are talking about because of their accents. And it was because for me, I'm doing media communication. So a lot of the terms were in English, which essentially in Korea, they use Konglish. So the pronunciation is a Korean version of the pronunciation, but you add saturi to that and you don't understand what the words are, even though it's supposed to be English words. So I think that was a bit of like getting used to. But other than that, like syllabus wise, it's pretty much the same all throughout Korea.
I think so.
How about like staying in like Busan or Seoul? What do you think there's a difference? Because I believe a lot of people want to stay in Seoul, but I think there are still a lot of benefits staying outside of Seoul. So I don't know, anything to share?
Do you think there's a big difference in the price, like the cost of living?
Yes. Like for me, I was staying at the dorm for a while and then I moved out into my own apartment. And one of the biggest reasons for it was because it was affordable and I get to call the place my own rather than having a shared living space. And I don't think I would have moved out of the dorm if
you were in
I were in
Seoul.
Seoul because
So
house prices
expensive.
are really expensive. Yeah. I think the pace of life in Busan is a little slower. It's still a city, so it's not like completely laid back, but comparative to Seoul, it's a bit more calmer.
Yeah, I would think so. And like honestly, right now the one thing that I can think of is like at least in Busan you can anytime you feel like you want to de-stress, you can go to the beach. But of course we have Hangang. It's so
It's frozen. It's frozen now.
like,
Frozen.
Yeah, but it's frozen now, but
That's good, but okay, because I mean Nonsan is very different. It's like really
Right.
very not very city, like it's very kampong. What's kampong?
Country.
Yes, it's very countryside. So
and transportation.
yeah, that's a bit tough. But then again, it's Korea, so it's not that bad. If you can just lead like a very calm life, like she said.
Yeah.
Like Nonsan is even more calm than Busan. Okay, but I guess a lot of you want to find out about the housing price, like dormitory price. So maybe you guys can share about what is it like.
For me, right, like honestly, one of the good things that kind of happened because of COVID, even though COVID sucks, but one of the things that happened was that I'm using like my own, like a 2-person dorm room on my own. So everyone gets like one whole room to themselves. So you don't have to share. Actually, they don't allow you to share because of Corona. Yeah, so but I'm paying the same price that I would if I were to share with someone else. Yeah. So it's like it's quite a good deal to be honest. And our dorms are really nice. So
But that's different from Busan.
yeah.
So it really depends on the school and the city that you're in and the level of emergency.
So I heard that other universities they don't do that. So
Right.
most of them have to pay like double the price or they have to still share the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, when I was staying in a dorm, I had a roommate, but I knew the roommate through KGSP as well, and we're all friends with her. So that was fine. But if I didn't have her, I think I would be scared to share with another stranger, especially with like the health risks involved. But because it was someone I trusted, so like I was okay sharing the room with her. And I heard that to get a single room, you have to then essentially pay double to get the room all to yourself, which I felt wasn't worth it, and that's why I ended up moving into my own place.
One room, right? So how much was it for yours?
For mine, like per month, it's 367,000 won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are meals provided?
No meals, as in you can add on like meal coupons, but I don't usually eat at the cafeteria, so
Right.
I didn't. But
Okay.
the meal coupons are also like very affordable. I don't remember exactly how much it is, but I remember thinking it was not too bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So like in the dorm itself, there's a 식당.
Oh.
There's like a student cafeteria at the first level. There's a cafe. There's CU and everything. So it's very like convenient. Actually, there's a gym also, but it's not open right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is, yeah.
So for my dorm, like the monthly fees are different because our fees include meals.
Okay.
So depending on the number of meals you get per month, the price differs each month. But they will let you know per semester and with the breakdown each month, so you know what to expect right from the beginning. So I remember paying like on shorter months because like some months we start like in August when we arrived, we went into the dorms like towards the end of the month. So
Right.
we only paid for like 1 or 2 weeks
Right.
rather than the full month. And then like the rest of the month you pay the full month. So for full months, I remember it was around 420,000 inclusive of meals.
Meals. Oh, okay.
And now living on my own, my apartment rent is 380,000 a month, and it includes water, cable TV, and internet.
That's a good deal.
But I have to pay for gas and electricity separately.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then I can control how much I use so that I don't have to pay too much for it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then for me, because I'm staying in Nonsan and I'm staying outside of the dorm, I'm staying in a 1.5 room, similar to Astrid, because Astrid is staying in a 1 room, right?
Yeah.
And she pays like 380 per month. I also pay 380, but mine's a 1.5 room. But also, because I'm staying in Nonsan, hers is Busan, so it's very different. It really depends on where you stay. So basically, if you want to find out the prices, you really have to do your research. Maybe go to Pudongsan, or maybe you can tell them how do you search for your home.
So we actually went online on Naver and we just searched up like the Pudongsan in the area that we wanted to go in. So how the system works in Korea is that the Pudongsans, or like the, what do you call it, like the real estate agencies are specific to just that area. So if you want to look for houses in those areas, you have to look for agencies within the area. So you can just like Naver it and then look at reviews. And if the reviews are relatively okay, they seem trustworthy, it's best to go down and meet them in person. So you can go to a few different places before deciding.
Okay.
And you only pay the agency fees after you sign the contract for the house. So if you don't end up signing a contract with that agency, you don't pay the fees.
Back to the application. One of the questions that you guys asked a lot was, what was the hardest part during this whole application process for the scholarship? So
It's the waiting.
Yeah. So like some of them will ask for an interview, so you have to wait for them to like contact you and then go through another interview if needed, and then wait for the results of the interview.
Yeah, like for me, I didn't have to go through any interview with the schools, and the schools were pretty much silent, so I heard nothing. Except
even
for the
worse.
fight.
Yeah, that's more.
So the first time I actually heard from all the schools that I applied for was the final results, and that was like a month later.
Yes, and most of them actually wait for like the final day, like
like
the final
until
day,
the very
then
last
get
day,
back to
then
you.
all of them send email on
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah. So that was really like nerve-wracking.
So basically for us, it was almost like from the time we apply in February until we get the results, it's basically about a 4 to 5 months wait. So I think what we are trying to say that is you just have to really prepare yourself mentally, because that is the most tiring process, trying to wait for the result and at the same time trying to live the life that you have been living still while waiting for your like dream result. So I guess that's the thing. A lot of people ask, why Korea? Why Korea for you guys?
Like for me personally, it was just a place that I felt the most comfortable with. I think most of us started the same way, like either through K-pop or K-drama, and it started as something really innocent, and then it went into studying the language, and then as I got more into it, I started coming to Korea for like holidays and stuff, and that's when I realized that every time I come to Korea is where I felt the most at ease emotionally and psychologically. But maybe it's because like I was on holidays.
That's the compounding factor.
Don't be confused.
But then I did my language studies like a few years ago in Seoul. So that was kind of like a little taste of what living in Korea is like. And I remembered really enjoying the entire process so much that I decided that if I were to choose another country outside of Singapore, Korea is where I would be comfortable with, just because I've had that experience.
I think it was quite similar to Astrid in terms of like knowing that I would be at home here, because everything is quite comfortable. If you know the language, it's really it helps quite easy to get around and everything. Made me choose Korea in particular, I think, was because I studied Korean in my university for 4 years, and then I started work in a hospital. For me, like what I want to do is clinical psychology work. So basically, when I was in the hospital, I met some Korean patients, and then like I realized that there was like quite a gap lah. So in Singapore, in terms of like Korean speaking therapist. So like that was like my initial like dream or goal. Like I wanted to pick up the language in professionally so that I can use it in the future when I return to Singapore. I'm going back to Singapore, hopefully. Yeah.
How is life in Korea during COVID? Learning language online is not easy. I mean, definitely it's not easy for masters also, but because language courses are online now, and to be honest, we cannot guarantee you, or the schools cannot guarantee you when it will become offline. And language learning, I believe it's a lot about exchange in conversation with your friends, with your teachers. And if it's online, if you're not an extrovert person like we are, it's very hard to speak online.
My classes were all offline.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually
That's
went
good.
into class for every single lesson. Maybe it's also because my classes are pretty small. Like one of my classes had only 6 people and another class had only 10 people. So they managed to like spread us out in the classroom and keep social distancing like rules.
Yeah.
So it was relatively safe and we were all masked up anyway.
Because all of my classes were basically online. Except for like 3 weeks when things were like suddenly a lot better.
I remember that
And then
part.
we went offline, and then suddenly it went like
Crazy
it just went, like,
again.
crazy again. So like just these ups and downs that are a bit like make you feel quite, just a lot of uncertainty still, even when you are here. And same thing as Jean, I think just studying like online classes in general are just not very conducive, I feel.
You guys also asked about quarantine. So the answer is yes, you all have to do quarantine as long as you come from another country.
Yeah.
It's 14 days, no discount. You have to do it.
If it's your first time coming, I think it really depends on the school. But so far from what I've heard, every school provides like quarantine in the dorm. And it's paid for by the scholarship. So
Right.
you don't have to worry
Yes, it's
about
paid
the
for.
cost.
With meals and all that.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
all catered. Yeah, so another thing about the application is I think you have to write it in English or Korean, right? It's a must.
Right.
So I know a lot of you guys have been asking me, do you need to know English well and all that? I think you have to have a like good grasp of English to be able to apply for the scholarship, because during the interview they're going to talk to you in English or in Korean, because the people at the embassy are going to do it, and they should be Korean if I'm not wrong. So they probably can only speak Korean or English. Of course there's other language, but because it's a scholarship, I believe that's the reason why they require English or Korean. So for me, I feel that based on what Hazi and Astrid said, it's really about showing yourself what you want. And what I felt while writing the application was I really wrote it like it's like my dream to come here, and I really wanted to be here for a purpose. And I did include that it was for the people of Korea. I mean, of course, you don't have to mention that in your application if that's not what you want, because I remember they mentioned in the application process that if let's say you want to learn something here and go back to your own country to help your own people, that is also very, very like helpful for them. So it really depends on how you want to write it. But like what they said, is really very important to be real, and you just have to state your purpose very clearly, and it must link to your major. Okay, so we hope that this video will help you. If you want to know anything else, please leave it in the comment section below, and we will check
Next
you
month,
out
right? The
soon.
application. Okay.
So we'll see you guys next time. Bye!